Yo, what's up everybody? We have another Tekken 7 how to get out of green rings video. This time it is my Tekken 7 Fahkumram green rings walkthrough. And I will give a fast overview of how this series works. I've done it before, but since I haven't done a walkthrough in like 3 months, maybe longer, I feel like I should just give another overview of the point of this. So this is kind of broken up into like 3 parts. The first part is I go over the key moves. Now, this is not all of the key moves for this character. It's just I grab a select group of key moves and I talk about those strengths and weaknesses and things like that. And the second part is I basically show you guys when I'm doing a walkthrough some implementation for some of those key moves. So I might be like, hey, this move is good when you want to do a low crush in certain situations, and then hopefully during a match that comes up and I'm like, hey, this is what I'm talking about. All right. And kind of the third part is basically the walkthrough where I'm commentating through the matches. And something else that's kind of important for me is that I said this before, when I was watching other people do green rank walkthroughs, I thought it was awesome. I did learn a lot, but I noticed them doing things that I could not do when I was in the green ranks. Like they were breaking every throw, they were doing perfect electrics, instant wild running moves, back dash canceling, and they were running through the green ranks. And I was like, okay, this is cool. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I can't do any of that stuff you're doing. So it didn't give me as much confidence as I feel like it should have. So I restrict myself to the best of my ability to only doing things that I could do when I was in the green ranks, when I'm doing these walkthroughs. And I hope that gives people a little bit more confidence, hopefully. First thing we're gonna talk about is his 10 frame punishment. Now, the point of this is that I just want you guys to get in the habit of applying some form of block punishment. I cannot tell you through all these walkthroughs I've done how many people do not punish me at all. It doesn't matter if I'm minus 10 or minus 18, they just don't punish. I want you guys to get in the habit of punishing. And then once you get that down, apply the proper block punishment. If it's minus 15, launch them. If it's minus 10, do 10 frame block punishment. Now that's gonna take time, but that's what I want you guys to get in the habit of doing. So he has 2 10 frame block punisher. He has 1-2, which is minus 2 on block and plus 5 on hit on counter hit. Then he has 1-4, which is minus 8 on block and plus 3 on hit and counter hit. Now 1-2 is typically what you go for if you want better frames but less damage, and 1-4 is kind of what you go through. What you go to when you want better damage, because 1-2 I believe is like 15 damage and 1-4 is like 23 or 24 damage. And something I want you guys to keep in mind also is that 1-2 gels on block and 1-4 does not. So your opponent can actually duck the 4 on block and launch you. So be careful about that. Now to piggyback off of those 2 standing jab strings, I'm showing you here that Fahkumram has a ton of standing jab strings and mix-ups, and they're very powerful. Same thing with his down 4-1, a lot of down 4-1 strings and standing 3 strings, and all of those can like string cancel into his stances and give more powerful 50-50 mix-ups. I'm not going to talk about any of that here simply because I made a video, my Fahkumram overview and breakdown video, and in my opinion it's a very good video, and it breaks down all of that strengths and weaknesses on top of his standing punishment. And if you guys want to know more depth about that, I definitely suggest checking out that video. But for here, since I've gone into it in so much detail, I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about some other key moves and strings. Now the primary mid poke you're going to see me using with Fahkumram is his down 4-1. It is I-13, minus 5 on block and plus 4 on hit and on counter hit. Now this move has some pretty good range, which is just Fahkumram in general. The frames don't seem that great, but the fact that he has a lot of mix-ups is going to give you a lot of mental frame advantage, which is going to make his down 4-1 that much more effective. Down back 4 is the primary low poke you're going to see me do. Now this comes out in 21 frames. It is minus 14 on block and plus 5s on hit and on counter hit, and that means that it's plus 5 and forces crouch. So very good frames on hit. Now it being I-21 technically means it is in the range of reactable, but guys, just take my word for it. Most people are not going to react to this move, especially online. Even offline, I think it's going to be hard for people to react to it simply because he doesn't crouch into a low position for like a sweep. He does it coming out of standing. So I think the first few frames are just going to throw people off. They don't know if it's going to be a low or a high or whatever. Now it is minus 14 on block, and there are a certain amount of people in the game or characters or whatever that can launch you. So be very careful about that. Down 4-3 is another low poke that I use. This comes out at 20 frames. It is minus 13 on block and minus 2 on hit and on counter hit. So the damage is a lot less, whereas this is 15 damage, and I think down back 4 is like 20 or 21 damage. You don't have nowhere near the type of aggressive frames you get from down back forward. That's +5 and forces crush. This is -2, so you're at a disadvantage. But it's only -13 on block. And I know you guys are like, well, that's just one frame. Well, that's a big deal because there's a small amount of characters that can launch you at -13. Well, when you go to -14, those same characters that can launch you at -13 can launch you. Then you have another handful of characters that can launch you at -14. So it's just a little bit safer on block. Next key move we're going to talk about is this 3+4, which is a mid attack that comes out in 18 frames, -9 on block, and knocks down on hit, and is also a counter hit launcher. Now, this is typically what I'm going to use for my spacing, simply because it is decently fast, has good range, and it is safe on block mid. Up forward one is a mid attack that comes out in 28 frames, -5 on block, so completely safe on block and launches on hit and counter hit. This is basically Fahkumram's orbital, okay? Very similar to Bryan and Shaheen. So in cases where you read your opponent, for example, going for a low, this is a good move to go for because it low crushes, and again, it is safe on block and it launches. All right, next key move is back 4-4. Spoiler alert. I do this move way more than I should in this walkthrough because I really love this move, and it definitely gets me in trouble sometimes because it definitely has some key weaknesses. But it's a high attack that comes out in 18 frames. It is +6 on block. Very powerful frames on block. And as I just showed you, it's also a natural launcher. And it has amazing range. But it is a high attack and it has horrible recovery. Something else is this move is pretty much a homing move too. I want you guys to keep that in mind because what I will do if I see somebody side walking or stepping, I will throw out back 4-4 with the quicks because of the range it has, and it's a natural launcher. Fahkumram does have a full crouch mix-up, which is always nice, and the primary low for this is when you're in full crouch, do down 4-3-2, which is a low mid string. It comes out in 19 frames, and this is -23 on block like most hell sweeps, so very, very punishable on block. Now you have an arsenal of mids to mix this up. You can do your regular while standing 4 if you just want to keep things safe and just collect some plus frames. You could do while standing 1-2, which I believe is his 13 frame while standing Punisher, and that is mid-high, so your opponent can duck the high on block, or you can just do while standing 3 and go for the launch, even though that is -13 on block. And you guys know I like to give you guys some basic BNBs. So the first combo is legitimately easier than the second one, and as I always say, you should be focused on fundamentals, not so much combo damage. But the second one honestly is not that hard to do with a little bit of practice, so I figured I would include this. Now this combo path also works with a standard I-15 frame launcher. Okay, first match is against a Lydia, and I definitely want to include this because I haven't played very many Lydias honestly in these walkthroughs, and I just played a Lydia before this, but the match was laggy, so I decided to include this one. Alright, so match starts off, I do is 1-1, which is safe on block. That move is punishable, I forget how punishable. So back 4-4 into back 4-4, I told you guys I love that move. Now she punished me right here. Now I'm blocking, I punish her with the 1-2. Now what you're going to see me do a fair amount is collect those plus frames from the 1-2 and then do a mid poke or a low poke, where the down 4-1 is going to be my primary mid poke, and that is uninterruptible, where the low poke is, but if they do try to interrupt, then they'll get hit by the down 4-1. So it's just a mix up there. So I doing a little pressure, try to do while running 3, got caught. All right, I'm about to make 2 mistakes right now. And I do want to analyze and talk about these mistakes with you guys. So let's just go through it slowly. So first off, this is the first mistake here. I do that move right there, I get caught. We're gonna break this down. And then I did another mistake right there. So let's rewind this so we can analyze both of those mistakes in detail. Now, when I do this move here, this is +1 on block. Okay, so I have plus frame, so it's in my advantage. Problem is, I go for a move that is I-18, so that's really like coming out in 17 frames, so that's still fairly slow. Now my next mistake right here was the Lydia I played before this would do this move into another low, so I basically treated her like that Lydia, but this is a completely different person. Now I'm not saying it was a horrible thing, because at the end of the day she might have done the same thing. It was just a hard read that was a wrong read, so I probably should have taken some time to collect data on this, how this person plays this character before I actually treat him like the other person. Alright, so anyway, round 2, I do the 1+2, collect the plus frames, and I mix up the low poke. Now, I'm going for the orbital move right here because she keeps doing the low. And as I said earlier, in the key moves, that's a good move to low crush with. So I got her against the wall, block right there. Alright, she coming with the 1-2-2. Now we're going back and forth. She hit me with the low poke there. I catch her with the wild standing 4. Alright, now here she goes for the rage art. I'm not sure why. Maybe she probably just had a hard read, I guess. But I felt like we weren't both crazy mashing, or maybe we were, I don't know. I felt like we were just going back and forth in a controlled attack pace there. But yeah, it is what it is. She's coming with the 1-2, and she sidestepped me there, which was actually pretty cool. I like her movement going on. So I said this again in key moves. His back 4-4 has really good tracking. So I see her side walking. So basically I'm going to do back 4-4 because it's a good like tracking homing move. And I catch her right there. Natural launcher. The damage is so abusive with Fahkumram sometimes. Oh, his full crouch hell sweep can hit grounded too, as you just saw right there. Now, I've said this plenty of times before. I'm a little late because we moved forward, but be prepared to, a lot of people go for throws when you're by the wall. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. All right, so we're moving back and forth. She caught me with the 1-2-2. Now here, I went for the Rage Art because some of her options there are actually interruptible. And I figured the Rage Art is technically a Power Crush as well. So I feel like in most cases, I was like, I'll just eat whatever she does and I'll get the Rage Art and then win the match. And that's exactly what happened. All right, so 1-1, caught it with the end. I did not mean to do that 4-3. So now I'm mixing up his standing 3 strings. I don't know what was going on there. She moved the low. I ducked because she was doing her 1-2-2 10 frame move a lot. So that's a high. So I went under that and then landed the wild standing 3. Now, right here, it's kind of like a little bit of an adaptation here. I did it before when I talked about those mistakes when I landed this +1 move and I did I-18 move. Well, this time I'm going to do an I-12 frame move much faster because I was like, she's going to press a button that she did before it beat me out. But now the I-12 move is relatively going to come out in I-11, so hard to beat that out. Anyway, good games to her. All right, moving on to the next match, which is against Rang. Hwoarang. Hwoarang is one of my favorite characters in the game. I don't play him, but maybe one day I will. He's really popular. I kind of come across him and King a good amount in the green ranks. All right, so match starts off, hit him with the jab, get him with the low poke, hit him with some jab strings, and then a down 4-1 string. He's trying to space me out with, I think that's his 4-4-3. I'm trying to space him out with my 3+4, so playing a little bit of the spacing game there. Did the low parry, red right there. He could have did something else, though. I was a hard read. Put him against the wall with wall pressure. Down 1 actually hits grounded with Fahkumram. And like I said, also his full crash hell sweep can hit grounded too. All right, so here I just realized he's AFK. So we're going to skip ahead in the match until he returns, which is right now. All right, let's get it going. Did the wild running 3 and we traded and hit him with the low poke. I missed that one. He caught me with the sweep that time. He's like, I'm gonna get you at some point. But the thing is, he did that. I think it's up 4-4-4-4, and he didn't finish the last 4, so it kind of like let the defense pass. So right here, I made another mistake. I thought that low in that string was -2, like the down 4-3, and it's -5, and I wasn't able to effectively sidestep the way I wanted because of that. Or don't get me wrong, it could also be that when he did the string might have realigned as well. But having the wrong frames in general was bad, so that's why I say it's my mistake there. All right, so here we're actually doing okay. Right there, I went for the parry. Now it hit me right at that moment that Hwoarang's throwing a ton of kicks, and Fahkumram has a kick parry. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna catch him with this before this match is over. So now I'm just poking him, hitting him with some good pokes there, doing the standing 3 string, which actually can be really hard for people to do it. I delayed it, but he actually interrupted, so he challenged me. So good on him. That string right here, I'm not a Hwoarang main, but I'm almost positive there is no mix up there. It goes from the low to the high, so you typically just duck that and launch, and it's kind of a giveaway. So I'm not exactly sure when a Hwoarang player should use that string. I'm pretty sure though the whole thing lands on counter hit, so maybe if he land a counter hit. So put him to the wall right there, putting some wall damage pressure or whatever. Now right here, I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna do it again. I'm gonna catch him with that kick parry. Boom. I know, guys, I was really waiting for that. But anyway, good kudos to the Hwoarang player. All right, next match is against a Negan, and wow, a lot of people hate Negan. I just think you gotta lab him, and eventually, you know, you kind of get the hang of him. I try to be cautious when I play Negan though, because he does have 2 Power Crush launchers. So right here, trying to put a little poke pressure on him, and I got caught. I just said I try to be cautious with his Power Crush launchers. I was like, no, he did not land that on me. But anyway, he hit me some low pokes there, and he interrupted my down 4-1 cancel to the string, so I started just doing the complete string. So what I mean by that is you could down 4-1 and cancel until your like string mix up, or you can just finish like the down 4-1 strings. And because I saw him interrupted, I was like, maybe I'll just catch him with the ender, and I started catching him a lot. So anyway, I tried to get him to back 4-4 there. I got hit by the second string. I got to pay more attention. I actually was aware of that, and I probably tried to do something dumb. I hit the 1-2. He interrupted the low poke mix up there. So now I'm just like popping him with some mid pokes, and then taking them plus frames and doing more mid pokes into the down 4-1 strings. And he caught me with a down 4-2 here. That bat has such good range, man. People with weapons in Tekken, I don't know how I feel about that. if somebody can have a weapon, I feel like we all should be able to have a weapon, but whatever. All right, so you went for the raise drive. I think he just did that a little too early. So punish right there, down for a 1, and then the 1-1. Fahkumram's jab strings and his down for 1 strings are honestly just really powerful. So I break the throw right there. He goes for another throw. I break that throw. And as I said, I try to break throws that are only 1 breaks. Or just, you know, generic throws, because I couldn't break 1+2s when I first started doing green rings. So right here, Nika has a bunch of 10 frame strings, and you have to lab them, and you will learn some of the enders. Like, I knew that hit was a low because I've labbed his 10 hit strings so much. So I was like, okay, like I should have low parried honestly instead of block, but it's what it is. I didn't mean to do that 4-4. So he missed the down forward 2 there. Now I'm just doing some basic jab pokes here and just really just mixing up the pokes right there. The poke pressure for Fahkumram could just be hard to deal with, honestly. All right, last match is against a Dragunov, which is also one of my favorite characters, but I do play Dragunov often on like Hwoarang. All right, so starting off, let's see, we seem to be spacing, moving around space. I hit him with a low poke, tried to do the wall bounce move, and he went into like a 10 frame string or whatever that was, caught me off guard. So here I went for the orbital because the follow-up, the last attack of that string is either a low or he cancels into a throw. So I don't believe he can block when he cancels into that throw. So I was like, okay, let's just catch him with the orbital. That should beat out both options. Now I'm taking him to the wall, doing the wall ender right there. I hate when it switch sides, caught him with the down 4-3. Now I'm just basically applying jab pressure, string mix-ups right there, which is pretty nice. Step this while running 2, and then finish with the down 4-1-2. I'm telling you, man, Fahkumram has some nasty strings. This character is a beast. He really is. So 1-1 right there to the low poke, and then doing the standing 3 strings. Now right here, I'm a little disappointed in myself because Drag's 2-1, the ender is a high or a low, so you can option select by simply crouch blocking, and I totally just messed that up, but good for him for landing. I have no idea why I did that 15 frame launcher there. Now I did float him out of that 4-4. There is a gap there, but didn't get anything from it. So right there you see the other ender was a high. Now here I read the low poke, he just did a down 2, and a lot of drags do down 2, like then something else did into another down 2. I don't know, I do that too sometimes though. And as I said before, if your back is to the wall, try to be aware that your opponent might try to throw you, especially if they have a wall splat throw. And here I was just catching him with some down 4-1 pressure, and then hit him with the while standing 1-2. All right, we are in the final round. Okay, I didn't float at that time, and I blocked and I didn't launch. That is definitely launch punishable, guys. So I delayed the last 4 ended up his standing 3 string and caught him, and he stopped me with a power crush. Now we're actually backing up here. Did the 4-1+2. Now I don't know what he was doing right there. Maybe he tried to cancel something throw and it just whiffed. I don't know. So I did the orbital, read a down 2, which he didn't do. And same thing, I did the down 4 into the sidestep knee. I don't know why I'm thinking that is a -2, but it's not. But anyway, just kind of beat him out with a bunch of mix-up strings and pokes right there. But good games to him, and we are Warrior. So that brings my Tekken 7 Fahkumram's Green Rank walkthrough to an end. If you guys like the content, please consider liking and subscribing. As I always say, all support is greatly appreciated. I got about another 4 to 7 characters I'm going to do for the green ranks, and then I'll probably move on to the yellow ranks unless we hear, like, you know, Tekken 8's dropping or something. I don't know. As I said before, if you guys want me to do a particular character, if I get enough requests, I will do it. So just post in the comments below if you have a character you want me to do. This is Acid Light. You guys take care.